Hi everybody, and welcome to this lifetime recording of tips about how to improve your sketching techniques. And what is very important, of course, is starters material. Now, I guess everybody of you has graphite pencils, and I actually use these specifically for making setups, and they are very easily erased, of course, as you will all know. But I do not often use the graphites for making complete drawings, and the reason for this is because graphite is some kind of gray, and it is rather greasy. So once I start drawing with the graphite, it is very easily erased, so that's a plus. But because it's greasy, it's very hard to go over that with, for instance, white charcoal or pastel. Because of the greasiness, that's somewhat harder. And what is also important is I prefer to use charcoal pencils when drawing, and I will demonstrate it here. This is the graphite and this is the charcoal. Now, charcoal is much darker, so the contrast with charcoal is like 1,000 times better. You can rub it out more easily. And graphite will do that, of course, too. But there is little contrast in the graphite and much more in the charcoal. Also, charcoal can be erased. Now, this is my Koh-i-Noor Hardmouth pencil eraser. You can read it, I hope. Yeah. Koh-i-Noor Hardmouth. And this is a kind of eraser that you can just sharpen. So what I have then is always a great sharp eraser at hand. And this is something I always have around. And I also take this along when I go on holidays and do my sketchings. A plus for the graphite is that it's easily sharpened with a sharpener, but our charcoal, instead of that, cannot be sharpened. It can, but it will break when you use a sharpener. So what I always have at hand is a sharp, very sharp knife. And what I do then is I place my thumb up on that knife and I move the pencil around like so, and that is the way how I sharpen it. I will demonstrate. I will make a mess here. So I ease down that charcoal. Also, pastels cannot be sharpened in a sharpener. They will break. It will cost you a lot of money. So these two I simply ease down with that very sharp Stanley mess in this case. And that is how I make my points. A rather long one. So that is because then I can use my pencil flat like so and very quickly draw in a background or something. I can ease it down and I can draw in grasses, for instance, or whatever I want. So very nice. And what is also, I will clean this mess up a little bit for you. And what is also very important is that I hold my pencil differently when I write or when I draw. When I am writing, I place my fingers close to the tip. So I'm writing. Close by. But once I draw, I hold my pencil like in the middle or somewhere in between, because then my action of radius will be much bigger. I could never write like this, but I do draw like this. I move my hand around, go upwards. So I hold it all kinds of ways, but never close to the tip, because when I'm like this drawing, like so, then I can only draw in little stripes, and that's not good to do. It is a forced way of drawing. So I don't do that. I keep it like here, and then I start drawing. Now the second tip, very important, is to buy yourself the cheapest paper there is. This is a scribbling pad, costs you around 50 cents maybe. There are 200 sheets in them, and you can draw as many drawings as you want. And if you mess one drawing up, just throw it away, play with the cat with it, and go on to the next drawing. Now, what is also very important, of course, is your inspiration. You have to have something you want to draw that really excites you. So you can do all kinds of things for this. You can look up a book, and this, for instance, is my animal encyclopedia with all kinds of animals in them. Most amazing ways of studying how the hair goes, how the shadows will go. And I love this for inspiration, but I also watch Google Images, for instance, or Pinterest or whatever, to get some kind of inspiration. What I do next is make quick sketches, just to improve my hand-eye coordination. Now, here on page 103, I was drawing some arrows and cactus. Here I was studying how the horse's body was built up, for instance. All quick sketches. And they are not nice, indeed, they are not beautiful, but they are very important to get that feel of how animals are made up, built up, the roundness, the movement that you see. Or maybe you want to draw all kinds of landscapes, then you pick up a nice book with nice landscapes in them and start drawing them. And this is also very funny. Here you can see, because this that scribbling pad is non-bleached. It has a little bit of brownish color when comparing this to the white paper. And what you get then is that you can take a white pastel pencil or a white charcoal and then point out some lining. So you can actually get even more contrast by using that charcoal combined with the white pastel. Very fun to do, and it will really improve your drawing. Now, for instance, here I was drawing in the Dutch version of this. I was drawing this one. It's the green-winged ara. and I was studying how the beak was going here, and maybe for this English tutorial I will try this one, for instance. I'll put in an you can see it's a little bit shiny through. It's very thin, cheap paper, so I will place one underneath. Now let's take a look at this. It's called a Hyacinthara. Well, never heard of it, but I love that color. But I will not try coloring when I am just studying. I will simply look for how the beak is going into the head, where the eye is placed, and the way that the feathers are going. So I'm going to draw and talk at the same time, so that's not very easy, I must say. Now let's first look up the line of the way this bird is going. So I start out with the head, and I watch a lot. I just keep watching. Now this is where the back of the head goes, like here. And as you can see, I'm holding my pencil somewhere just something further away from the middle. And here I can see that this beak here is coming from here, then going down, and it's rounded. So I try that also. So this is quite a rounded movement. Then here we can see a little bit of an opening here. And then it's kind of a hook. It's hooked. So that's, and then this one goes quite straight. So that's what I look up. Here's kind of the opening. And here is some skin. They're kind of like a reptile-like animals. Okay, maybe this a little bit farther. And you can always divert a little bit, of course. You do not have to be very, very exact, of course. Just get the feel. Now here's the eye coming, and I can see that this goes here, then the back of this neck is coming from around here, and then it goes down. Here's a little dip. I'll try that. Sometimes a line is very important to correct. Just rub in a little bit. Now here's skin around that eye, and then the feathers go up like so. Here's a bit of shadow, and there are all kinds of scales here on the beak here. I'll try that too. It's kind of smiley here. There's a lot of texture on that beak. Try that. And you can see that once I'm going to detail, I go further towards the point. Whereas if I was to draw in a background, I hold the pencil quite different. Here's this wing coming. So this is where the body is going. This is where the wing is coming out. And it goes round. It comes over from here. The feathers come over. And then they have all those little ends of the feathers. And then here there's a lot of shadow, so I simply go like this again. Give that some color here. And then I can continue drawing in the background, for instance. Make that wing pop out. Like so. And you do not have to complete all of your drawing. Just draw out those points that where lay your interest. Here I'm looking up for the structure of that beak here. Then I can just give this all a color. And I hardly press any, give hardly any pressure here. And here this goes like so. And there's another wing coming here. I will blur that out. Because the paper is very thin, I have to keep it in place with my hands here. But it gives the feel of movement. So I draw in some feathers for the direction of the hair. Get here a little bit more contrast for that beak. Put in some shadow. And you can correct things by putting in some background. So I do not even have to erase here, because I'm just simply covering it up with the background and make that beak come out. It's just fun to do, and it is a very, very important way of starting to practice and develop your drawing skills. It's very, very important to draw, if you can, every day. Just sit down, maybe you're on the telephone and somebody is talking and talking. I just grab my sketchbook and start drawing. When I'm on holiday, I'm always sketching. When I'm on a plane or waiting on a bus or something, I just start drawing. I even draw at my office job, where I have to be on the telephone a lot, and some people just keep yakking and yakking and yakking, and I just start drawing. It's a way of surviving. Now what is also very nice always is to draw in a little bit of background. And sometimes I just make it up. I draw in some flowers. Maybe this bird is in the zoo or something. And there are some plants and bushes here and there. And so I love to give the subject a place on the drawing sheet. Now what is also very nice, I will not finish this drawing, I just want to give you an impression of how I sketch and how I hold my pencil and the cheap paper that I use, so I'm not scared to throw it away when I mess it up. But what I was telling you about white, when you are studying, it is also very nice on that cheap paper to get in a little bit of white, so you get even more contrast. Like this yellow skin, I can point out for my memory to make that a little bit whiter. And of course you can also use colors. You can use a little bit of blue pastel, for instance, or yellow, whatever you want. But for your study and to get the feel of light and dark, I suggest you simply start out, especially when you are a beginner, with just the charcoal and the white pastel. Erase as little as you can. Just leave those lines there if you messed up. And that's also a way of learning. Learning from your mistakes is the best tip ever. Well, there's a nice contrast here. I'll just leave it up there. Put in a little bit of this shadow here. And this entrance needs a little attention. And then I will leave it up to you. And I hope that this gives you a lot of inspiration. Just give it a go. Buy yourself some really cheap drawing paper and just start drawing. If you mess it up, throw it away. But keep the nice studies. Work them out later, maybe. And every drawing you make, you will be a step further towards becoming that artist that you really want to be. So, I hope you enjoyed this, and of course I hope to see you again in my next week's tutorial. I'm here every Friday. And also on my Patreon page there are a lot more tips and tricks. So you can support me there and visit me there, share your drawings. But for now, I hope to see you again next Friday. Take care.